Solving rational inequalities. Definition. The rational inequality is any inequality that can be written in the form of f of x is less than 0, strictly less than 0. F of x is less than or equal to 0. F of x is strictly greater than 0, or f of x is greater than or equal to 0, where f of x is a rational function. To solve the rational inequality, where the rational function f of x is in the form of the polynomial px as a numerator, polynomial qx as a denominator is in the reduced form. Step number 1, we're going to find the real zeros of the numerator px. These values are the zeros of the function f of x. Step 2, we're going to find real zeros of the denominator qx. These values are the location of the vertical asymptote of the function f of x. That means we're going to use a factoring skill to factor completely and then solve to find the real zeros of the numerator and denominator if needed. Step 3, we're going to place the value of what we got from step 1 and step 2 on the real number line, splitting it into intervals. Step 4, within each interval, select a test point and evaluate f at that number. If the result is positive, then the function is greater than 0 for all x in that interval. If the result is negative, then the function is less than 0 for all x in that interval. Step number 5, we're going to write the solution set containing of all the intervals that satisfy the given inequality. If the inequality is not strict, like less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, then the zeros of P are included in the solution set as well. The solution Q are never included in the solution set as they are not in the domain of the function f of x. Let's see the example. We are going to solve the following rational inequalities. To solve means to find the value of the unknown. In these cases, we're going to have to solve for the x. For the rational inequality, we're going to rewrite it in the form of the function f of x is strictly less than 0. The function f of x less than or equal to 0. The function f of x is strictly greater than 0, or the function f of x is greater than or equal to 0. In this case, we're going to have to move the term over into one side, and we're going to move it to the left. So 6x minus 36 divided by x plus 5, strictly less than 0. And after that, we're going to simplify the left-hand side. As you see 6x, we're going to combine into one fraction by finding the common denominator, or we call the least common denominator. I'm going to put a note here, which is x plus 5. Therefore, we're going to multiply top and bottom of the 6x by x plus 5. So we get 6x times x plus 5, excuse me, divided by x plus 5, minus 36 divided by x plus 5, less than 0. We can bring them into one fraction with a common denominator. So the left-hand side, we got 6x times x becomes 6x squared. 6x times 5 becomes 30 times x, and then minus 36 is strictly less than 0. Simplify the numerator. As we see the common factor 6. Factor the 6 out. We have x squared plus 5x minus 6, all divided by x plus 5. Looks like we can do a little bit more to factor completely of the numerator. So we have 6 times x is x squared. Negative 6 is from two numbers, which is positive 6 and minus 1. And then divided by x plus 5, less than 0. At this point, we have the expression as the numerator as a px, as a denominator as a qx. Now we're going to find the 0 for the numerator. The zeros are x equals negative 6 and positive 1. For the denominator, the 0 only one factor. So we're going to have the 0, x equals -5. And then we're going to put all those numbers, allocate those numbers on the real number line. -6, -5, and +1. Next, we're going to determine the sign in each interval. Here's a tip and technique. We make a list of each factor, x plus 6. I'm going to use different color for each one of them. X minus 1, and then another color. Let's use the green to be the factor x plus 5. So look at one at a time. For the first one, the x plus 6, for any value that's greater than -6, the sign going to be plus sign, plus sign, plus sign, plus sign. And then the left-hand side of -6 is going to be minus sign. For the factor x minus 1, the 0 is 1. So any value greater than 1 going to be positive, make this factor to be positive. The left-hand side of the value 1, when you plug in, going to be negative sign, negative sign, negative sign. And the last factor, which is the factor x plus 5, x plus 5 here, the 0 is -5. That means the right-hand side of the x plus 5, the value that you plug in, going to make this factor to be positive. The left-hand side going to be negative, negative. So I'm going to look at this number as a green, and the pink, which is the value 1, and then the purple, which is the value -6. As you see, like the right-hand side, the left-hand side of those numbers, the side will be different. And then how do we put them together? As you see, you multiply and divide. So we're going to determine the final sign of these three factors. When you multiply positive and positive become positive and divided by positive. So this interval going to be plus sign. Next interval going to be positive times negative. Positive times negative divided by positive. The final sign going to be negative. The next interval, positive times negative divided by negative, it becomes plus sign or the positive sign. And then the last one, the result going to be negative inside. So that means for any number, we plug in between 1 and infinity, the function going to be positive inside. The next one between -5 and 1, the function value will be negative inside. Any number between -6 and -5, the function value will be positive inside. And negative infinity to -6, the function value will be negative inside. So which one we're going to use as the answer? We are looking for the function value that less than 0. So we're going to look at this one and this one, which is negative. This is negative sign. So this is the one that's strictly less than. So we do not include those numbers. And also, like whatever on the denominator, we cannot include it because it's not in the domain. Therefore, the answer for this one, I'm gonna write as, so the solution set will be the one that has negative inside. So it's gonna be negative infinity, -6, union, the one between -5 and +1. So this is gonna be the answer for this problem. All right, let's take a look at the next example. Again, we are going to adjust the function into the form of f of x is less than or equal to 0 by moving all the terms into one side. To be convenient, we move to the left. So it's going to be x plus 2 divided by x plus 4 minus x divided by x minus 1 less than or equal to 0. Put the note on the side before we forget. So the domain of this inequality going to be x cannot be negative 4 and x cannot be positive 1, as those are the zeros of the denominators. Now we're going to combine these two fractions into one using the common denominator, x plus 4, x minus 1. The note, the least common denominator, the LCD, is the product x plus 4 and x minus 1. So multiply the first fraction by x minus 1, multiply the second fraction by x plus 4, less than or equal to 0. And then we're going to simplify the numerator by expanding the product. X times x, x squared, the inner outer become positive x and then minus 2. So we have expanded form or FOIL it out. And then the next one, the same way, we're going to have x times x, which is x squared, x times 4, and minus sign going to be minus 4x, all divided by x plus 4 times x minus 1, less than or equal to 0. Simplify the numerator more. X squared minus x squared gone, plus x minus 4x becomes negative 3x minus 2, all divided by x plus 4 times x minus 1, less than or equal to 0. Now we have the expression for the px, and the 0 of this is x equals negative 2 over 3. We have the qx, which is the denominator, and the 0. We have two factors, so we have two zeros. It's going to be x equals negative 4 and x equals positive 1, which is the same as the domain. That means we cannot include these two numbers on the solution set. The next step, we are going to put our numbers or the zeros on the real number line. We have negative 4, which is the lowest number, and then negative 2 over 3, the next number, and then 1 is the greatest. First one is negative 3, x minus 2, this factor. Just look at negative 2 over 3, which is 0 of them. If we pick any number on the right side, for example, the value 0, put the 0 in here, the sign going to be negative, negative. The left-hand side, the sign going to be positive. For example, would you pick negative 1, negative 3 times negative 1, positive 3 minus 2 become positive. All the numbers on the left side going to be positive. And the next gonna be the factor of the denominator, which is x plus 4. For x plus 4, we target number negative 4. The right-hand side of negative 4, for example, negative 3. Negative 3 plus 4 gonna be positive side. And it will be positive for all the number on the right-hand side of negative 4. The number on the left side of negative 4, like for example, negative 5. Negative 5 plus 4 is negative 1. So the sign will be negative. And then the last number, or the last factor, which is the factor x minus 1. The 0 is at 1 here. You pick the number on the right side. For example, the value 2. This factor become plus side. The left-hand side, like for example, 0. 0 minus 1, you get negative 1. You get negative side, negative side, negative side. And after that, you're gonna look at the result after you use all of these sides. The negative divided by the product of two plus side, the result gonna be negative inside. Negative divided by positive divided by negative, the result is positive. This one, the result gonna be negative. This, the result gonna be positive. So for this case, we are going to include the 0 of the numerator, but not include the zeros of the denominator. And what interval we are going to use as the solution. So gonna be the one that give the result less than or equal to 0, which is over here and over here. Therefore, we're gonna do -4 to -2/3. Since we can include -2/3, we're gonna do the bracket, but we don't include -4. Also, another interval starting from 1 all the way to infinity. Since 1 cannot be included, we're going to use the open parentheses and use the union symbol to join them together as a solution set for this inequality problem. Let's take a look at this example. We are going to solve for x for this inequality problem. We are going to move all terms into one side and leave the other side to be 0. So we have 3 over x squared minus 16 subtracted by x over x squared minus 16. These two fractions have the same denominator, so we make them into one fraction with the denominator x squared minus 16. The numerator is 3 minus x greater than or equal to 0. The denominator can be factored further to be x minus 4 times x plus 4, as you see the difference of the two squares, which is the square of the number 4. At this point, we can identify the 0 of the numerator. I'm going to put here the denominator px. The 0 is x equals 3, and the denominator qx. We have two factors. Therefore, we have two zeros, x equals +4 and -4. In this case, we just make sure that we do not include it in the solution because they are not in the domain. Once we get our three numbers, we're gonna put them in the real number line. Put the -4 here, 3 and 4. And then we're gonna determine the sign within each interval. I will use the sign for each factor and then simplify them as we see as the factors put together for the expression of f of x. So start with the 3 minus x. So for 3 minus x as a numerator factor, 3 minus x as the value 3 here as a 0. We pick the number on the right side of the 3. For example, like 3.5. 3 minus 3.5, we have negative inside. We put the number greater than 4. The result for this factor gonna still negative number, where the number on the left side of 3, like 0, 3 minus 0, the sign will be positive for this factor all the way for anything less than number 3. And the next factor, which is one of the factors of the denominator, so the factor x minus 4. For x minus 4, the 0 is 4 here. Pick the number greater than 4. For example, 5. 5 minus 4 is +1. The factor will become positive for the value greater than 4. Any number less than 4, the sign is going to be negative, negative, negative. And the last factor, which is the factor x plus 4. X plus 4, the 0 is -4. Anything greater than -4 will make this factor to be positive. For example, -3. -3 plus 4 is +1. And anything greater than -4 will make this factor to be positive. Anything less than -4, for example, -5. -5 minus plus 4 going to be -1. So we have negative inside. After we get these three factors, the sign of each one, we're going to consolidate to see the final sign after they are put together as the fraction form. So the numerator, negative divided by positive times positive, the final sign is negative inside. Negative here. And then for this between 3 and 4, the sign will be positive, Between -4 and 3, the sign will be negative. Between -infinity to -4, the sign will be positive. And we are looking for the sign that's greater than or equal to 0. Therefore, we're going to look for the sign that's return positive inside. Whoops. For this interval, going to be from -infinity to -4. Since 4 cannot be included, so we're going to do open parentheses. And another one between 3 and 4. 3 we can include it, but 4 we cannot, since it is the one that is not in the domain. Therefore, the solution set for this problem gonna be the interval from -infinity to -4 and from 3 including to 4 as a solution.